Hard Travelin, Fall 1980, Episode 2. The train has stopped. I open one eye. Just one. You don't wake up on a freight train any more than you have to. It's too hard to get back to sleep. Anyway, one eye. It's pretty light outside. I open the other eye very slowly. I'm face to face with the big gray movable bulkhead. I eye it warily. It could be ready to pounce. I give it a minute, and it seems to be relatively friendly. I think we've reached a truce of some kind. It's allowed to crash and bang and generally wake the dead all day and night, and I'm allowed to ride without fear of death by flattening. I look outside. My open door and hence my ugly mug are staring straight into the station house. Oh, fine, just my luck. Rule number 1 of freight hopping, keep a low profile. So here I sit, looking into the startled faces of some early morning Amtrackers. Oh well, if they haven't called in the Marines by now, I'm probably okay. The town is called Glasgow, and though it's really unfair to the fine folk of this fair city, I really don't care about Glasgow very much, not at 9 a.m. anyway. So I roll over and close both eyes firmly. Maybe, just maybe, I can get a little more sleep.
Sir, I am picking up something on my translator. What is it, Uhura? I don't know, sir. It sounds like help. Well, keep trying to decode it, Uhura. It must be an alien of some kind. Aye, aye, sir. Mr. Spock, can you get it on your scanner? Yes, Captain. It seems to be a very tiny vessel of some kind with an intelligent being aboard. Life systems similar to ours. They're always similar to ours, and they always speak English. Doesn't that strike you as odd? Yes, Captain, it does. Well, it's trying to come aboard. Hold on, Mr. Spock. I'll meet it in the transporter room. All decks, red alert, intruder alert. Repeat, all decks, red alert. Too late, Captain, it's already aboard. Where? Here, on my little finger. Everybody stand back. Phasers on stun. What is it, Mr. Spock? Well, sir, it seems to be a human anthropoid of terrestrial origins, overall proportionally approximately 1 inch high, female dressed in a pink bikini. What? Let me see. Captain, no, she's falling. Lieutenant Daniels throws himself on the floor under her to soften her fall. I'll save her, sir. As she floats slowly down, she increases in size to full human proportions, her tiny pink garments shredding off as she grows. She hits the ground at full size, flattening Lieutenant Daniels. He groans. Change to close-up of Spock and Kirk in sickbay. Daniels in bed in background. Did you get any response out of Daniels? He'll be all right, just a fractured collarbone and 2 broken ribs. He muttered something about being somewhat annoyed. What the? Full frontal nudity on a Star Trek episode? Both eyes pop open. No use trying to sleep. Holy shit, what would Freud say about that one? Oh well, I'm awake. Reality calls. Well, let's get back to some sane observations about passing landscapes. I look outside and see a brown prairie covered with giant lint balls. Lint balls? Hold on. Rub the eyes, slap the face. Well, okay, they're actually rolled hay bales, but they look like lint balls. Prairie. No mountains to be seen. We roll through another small town with the expected grain towers. Poplar, announces the grain tower proudly. Well, hello, Poplar. Goodbye, Poplar.
it's gone in a flash. I look at my watch. 7 o'clock. Man, is it empty out here. 360 degrees of sky and prairie. Not totally flat, though. Not like further south, Kansas or Nebraska. There is the soft, flat underbelly of the world, where the highest point of elevation's probably Mo Finkel's of Cheevers, Nebraska, who stands 7 feet 2 in his stocking feet. No, this northern prairie still has some goosebumps. Not hills, really, just dips and humps. I eat some granola and watch the sagebrush roll around. The wind is picking up, and ahead some ominous-looking clouds are gathering. Bodes ill. However, the wonderful thing about a freight car is that you can adjust your perspective on the world in just a few steps. If you're nostalgic, you stand in the front of the car looking back to what's past and gone. If you're the hardcore realistic type, you stand amidships, right between the doors, looking out at present reality. And if you're optimistic, you can stand in the rear, looking eagerly forward to the brave new world yet to come. I'm a firm believer in deliberate vacillation, and right now I prefer the sunshine of yesterday to the clouds of tomorrow. In the front of the car, I take my stand facing firmly to the rear. As we pass over the border into North Dakota, the wind becomes a minor typhoon. Very cold, and the sun plays peekaboo with the clouds. Damnation! I'm going to have to write a letter to the governor of North Dakota. This state's too cold. There's nothing to break the wind. It's clear that the wind enjoys that fact. It's the only thing that really belongs here. Everything else looks curiously out of place and artificial. Trees stand alone or in little clumps, looking self-conscious about their existence, perhaps a little embarrassed. Houses and barns stand alone and naked as though they dropped from the sky and stuck in the dirt. Nothing looks permanent. Hell, even the sagebrush knows that nobody owns this turf. You can roll through, but you can't stay. Not with a wind like this. There's more water here than I would have expected. Little ponds or ditches of water dot the plain, and even a little pond 100 feet long has whitecaps on it. Whitecaps! Changing positions in the boxcar, I look ahead to the future. I can see big hills of mud, sand, and dirt, very highly sculpted by erosion. They are very peculiar looking, again, very artificial. They look like dribble castles that you build at the beach. I suspect that when they built the Missouri River, this is where they dumped the mud. Minot, North Dakota. Now don't get carried away with your French accent. This town's name rhymes with why not, accent on the first syllable. The train rolls slowly past most of the town, and for a while I think perhaps we won't stop at all. The sky is definitely overcast now, and the wind is strong and cold. I have to leave my sheltered position in the front of the car and move to the back so as not to be seen as we roll past the railroad station and office building. I wish I had about 400 pounds of clothes on. Ooh, mama! No wonder all the tramps in Spokane thought I was crazy. I should have gone to California. The train comes to a stop, finally, in a long and surprisingly big yard for a town this size. Must be some kind of a center. A loud explosive hiss. They've shot the brakes. That means we'll be here a while. I look at my map. It's been somewhere around 500 miles since Havre. Time for another Class A inspection. And sure enough, way down the aisle between my train and the next one over, I see a little figure bobbing in and out of the spaces between the cars, checking the brake lines, checking the oil boxes, the same routine wherever you go. Still, it'll pay to keep an eye on them, watch for the telltale signs of switching, adding or subtracting cars. I don't want to be cut off in Minot. Too bloody cold. I can ask the guys as they pass my car. Meanwhile, it's lunchtime. I shiver over my crackers and cheese and think about roaring fires and hot climates. I'm parked next to a train full of car carriers. These car carriers have perforated steel walls on the side to protect the cars inside from the hundreds of little boys with rocks who line the tracks of America, waiting to leave their mark on the windshields of the fine products of Detroit and Tokyo. Now these little perforations in the wall squeeze the wind as it passes through and make it howl. And I mean shriek, cry, and moan. The sound gives me a feeling of remote isolation, loneliness, and sadness. It also makes the wind sound like a full-blown hurricane. Brrr! There's a road on the other side of my train, and a pickup truck approaches, crunching the gravel. If it keeps going, fine. If it stops, trouble. It stops. Okay, play it cool, no sweat. The railroad bulls know that if they throw you in jail, the railroad has to pick up the tab for your room and board, and they don't like to do that. The worst they usually do is throw you unceremoniously out of the yard. The truck doors open, plural. Uh-oh, more than one. Maybe they don't fool around in Minot. Maybe it's a lynch mob. They'll never take me alive. Come on, boys. Some of you are coming with me. 3 quite benign faces poke in the door. Howdy. You're going to have to get out of this car. We've got to close the doors. Oh, really? My goodness. I can't believe I said that. My goodness? That's a little old lady phrase. If you're going to hop the freight trains, you got to be tough. Oh, well. Yep, they say we've got our orders. The tower saw these doors open and they want them shut. Can you get out on the other side there and we'll close this one first? Okay, I mumble. The door slams shut and they crank the handle down. Crap. Now I gotta find another car. I cram my lunch stuff, sleeping bag, pad, and clothes into my pack, helter-skelter, and jump out the other side door into the narrow aisle between the trains. 3 men are there to close the door, very brusque, very businesslike. I stand there sadly, wondering which way to go, and the door handle is cranked down firmly. There, says one of the men. Sorry, but we got our orders. They don't like to leave this kind of door open. They're afraid it'll jump off its runners and fall off. So the tower told us to close it. Course, he adds, if you open it again after we're gone, there's nothing we can do about that, you know. He winks. And they're gone. All right, good old yard boys come through again. I wait for 10 minutes while the oilers pass me, finishing their inspection. Then they too disappear. The brakes hiss gently. They're pumping up the system. Probably another 5 minutes and we'll be gone. The wind in the perforated wall is doing a perfect banshee imitation. I give it a sarcastic applause and tell it to shut the hell up. God damn, it's cold. I'm too young to freeze to death. I open the door to my car and climb back in. Home sweet home. Hey, bulkhead, hi, how you doing? It looks almost like a friend. Almost. I keep the door on the other side of the car closed. It's the one toward the tower and the offices, and it's also the one that was letting all the wind in. At least until I'm out of the yard, I'll only have one door open. That means only one escape route. That's bad. See, if a freight door closes, you're in trouble because there's no way to open it from the inside. Starving to death inside a boxcar has always struck me as a singularly unromantic way to go, so I always try to travel with both doors open just in case. Outside on the gravel, I see a board. It's a 4x4, about 4 feet long, probably fell off a lumber car about 50 years ago. I jump out and put it on the boxcar floor with the end sticking out the door. Then I wedge an old brake shoe in the runner along which the door would have to travel if it decided to close. These form my Burlington Northern Tramp's insurance policy, I hope. I look at the door, and then at the big gray movable bulkhead, then back to the door. I sense a certain air of conspiracy. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I'm also acutely aware of the innate animosity of inanimate objects, a corollary to Murphy's Law. The brakes give a major wheeze. There's a small clank and then a tremendous jolt that knocks me off my feet and informs me with no uncertainty that we are indeed moving again. Goodbye, Minot. It's been a thrill. As we roll out into the rolling fields of amber waves of grain, I can only see out the one side door. I feel like a fish with an eye patch. I mean, if Hannibal and his elephants were to pass 50 yards to the north, I'd never know. But at least it keeps out that cold north wind. Plains, plains, plains. Nothing but plains. Not an ocean or a mountain to be seen. At least it looks more hospitable here than it did this morning. The plains are mostly cultivated, with endless rows of furrow and plow tracks that make great wide turns and circles at the edges and corners of the fields. Most of the fields are bare dirt, very black, where the old stalks of wheat were burned off here and there. The fields have a tinge of green, probably a new crop of winter cattle, just poking their little green horns above the earth. The trees that line the fields and protect the farmhouses and barnyards look like they mean business, look like they can handle the job. No wild Montana winds allowed here. Everything is more under control. The houses look like they're at least holding their own, like they know that this is farm country and that they belong here. The winter winds are still mean and cold, but they have given way, like the buffalo. And the sky, the great bowl of the sky, with a gigantic ball of red fire descending rapidly, that streaming, glowing, gaseous nebula of a sun, has been hiding all afternoon, and only now, in the incredible spectacle of a Midwest sunset, has it deigned to put in an encore performance as it perches on the edge of the world. It is beneath the layer of clouds that had eclipsed it, and the searing red light jabs at me horizontally. A menacing lateral broadside, a final thrust beneath the cloak. The boxcar is iridescent, intensely alive in the bloody glow. The rays streak upward from the source, painting the underside of the blanket of clouds and bringing out the contours in shades of scarlet, yellow, pink, and gold. The orb has sunk, and the sky metamorphosizes. More and more purple creeps into the cloud canvas, and the world darkens. Somewhere over the horizon, they're having the biggest wiener roast in history. But here, in eastern North Dakota, night is raising its great dark head. We pull into Fargo in time for a late dinner. It's 7 o'clock, and everyone in Fargo is having steak. I could smell it a mile out of town, and I can smell it all the way across the city. Steak! Broiled cow! It's driving me crazy. After 3 days on a freight, the hardiest vegetarian would have trouble resisting this smell. Something in me snaps, and I get out of my sleeping bag, pull on my boots, and dance. As we cross intersections filled with cars, I dance. I dance to a song that I've just made up, and I dance to the smell of steak on a cold, dark night. And I dance because I'm on a freight train heading east, rolling free, taking me God knows where, and who cares? It's the euphoria of the open road. I play my imaginary electric guitar, great crashing chords of power and life, leaping around past the open door, waving and laughing at the people who stare and point as we roll by, singing about that warm breath woman that I left behind. The train gives a great lurch and I fall down in the back of the car, laughing and singing and totally exhausted. The train stops. A quick change of crew, during which I open the other side door, and then we're off again on this crazy, lurching, screaming ride, hurtling through the darkness, bound for Minneapolis. 2 a.m. The rhythm of the wheels and the rails slows enough to tell my subconscious autopilot that something is going on. Click! Snap over into conscious mode. There's a harsh glare of industrial streetlights and odd assorted red and green switching lights. We're pulling into a yard of some kind. Several pairs of tracks branch off to the left, and then several more. We pass an automobile sitting at a road crossing, the North End Airman. Warehouses go by. More tracks branch out from the main line, glinting in the cold, dead light. The sky ahead has a big city glow. Minneapolis, a big city yard. The train slithers between two parked trains, and the cruel white light is cut off. Blessed shadow of the night. This is the end of the line for me. The train may go on to Chicago, but here I bid my fond farewell to this 10 by 40 foot space that has been home for 40 hours. It's hopping cold, and I pull on my boots, pack up my sleeping bag, pad and food sack with shivering fingers, and wait for the train to stop. There's a kind of shivering that overtakes you on a freight train, part cold, part exhaustion, and part just the habit of moving with the motion of the car. Standing in the car for the last couple of moments, I'm shaking violently with the cold, with the dark, and with a sudden transition from warm dreams to frigid Minnesota reality. The train slows bit by bit until it stops almost imperceptibly. Goodbye, big gray movable bulkhead. It's been a pleasure. I climb off painfully and pull on my pack. The romance is gone. There is only the dark and the harsh lights and the gravel and the weight of my pack and the sudden intense desire to lie down and sleep, really sleep, for the first time in 3 days. But I must get out of the yard and find a place to spend the night. Sleep must wait. My entire body aches as I stumble down an endless dark gravel road beside my train. Finally, the end of the line, the roundhouse, a couple of sidelines for grain towers, and at last I'm out. Out of the yard, out of the magic of the railroad world, into the anonymous night. I find a grassy spot out of sight, behind some trees. Tomorrow I make the awkward transition to real life. Welcome to Minneapolis. Ugh. But that is tomorrow. For now, there is only sleep, cool grass, dark trees against the city glow sky, a light, cool breeze, and sleep. Farrah Fawcett on one side, Cheryl Ladd on the other, me in the middle, sitting on a beach in Puget Sound. Just the three of us, talking, joking. Not a hint that these two women are counted among the world's most beautiful. Just three old friends, the way they were before anyone told them they were beautiful. Farrah is quiet, almost shy. Cheryl is bouncy, laughs a lot. We decide to have Japanese vegetables for dinner. We pile into an old V-dub bug and drive down to Peterson's supermarket to get supplies. People gawk and stare and whisper and take pictures, but we don't even notice. Buy the food, home in a flash. And then there's Cheryl. A piece of string bean doesn't quite make the leap from her fork to her mouth, and it falls back onto her plate. We all laugh and tell her she's a slob, born in a barn. Three old pals, old friends, sharing secrets. Very comfortable, very warm.